What's going on YouTube? Happy Monday. Today I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm kind of on the fence here. So I'm reading the MJ DeMarco book, Millionaire Fastlane, and he talks about how, there's one part in the book where he talks about, people in the slow lane, they always pinch their pennies. They say we can't eat out. They're always watching their pennies, and he's always looking at this way as a bad way to live. But this is where I'm going to have to disagree with him on this. I'm going to tell you why. So I'm reading the top 5 tips to build wealth and success. This is an article that was done by Yahoo, and I'm just going to read them off real quick, and I'm going to kind of explain from my point of view what I think is correct. And the first one they have is to live below your means. Now, I'm going to use Warren Buffett and Carlos Slim as my examples on this. Now, Carlos Slim is like a tech giant, telecommunications giant in Mexico. He lives in Mexico, or basically Central America. But anyways, and when I was in Nicaragua, I remember his company is called Claro. Claro is like the Verizon Wireless of the U.S. or AT&T of the U.S. or whatever, right? But anyways, this guy lived in the same house that he purchased in his 30s. He's lived in the same house, never had to change the house, doesn't use a computer, shakes his hands on business deals, and lives pretty much a frugal life. Who else do we know that is in that category? Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett purchased his home when he was in his 30s in Omaha, Nebraska, has never bought another home, has been living debt-free from that home all his life. Now, these men are the 2 richest men in the world. Now, in MJ DeMarco book, he talks about, don't be this penny pincher type person. And this is why I disagree with him. He basically says you can drive your Lamborghini, you can drive your dream car, and all of these things. But I want to ask you guys a question. If you were the only person on earth and you had the ability, everything at your disposal, you could have anything you wanted. You could have a big house, you could have a Mercedes Benz, but you're the only person on earth. There's no one else to see you. There's no one else that you can, drive in front of and let them see your wealth. It's only you on earth. Would you still go out and buy these things? Now, if you ask me that question, I would say no. Because why? You have no one to show it to. Usually when you buy expensive goods and you want to have these lavish parties, you're trying to impress someone. Whether you want to say it or not, when you get that Lamborghini, you want to park that Lamborghini out and you want to clean it so your neighbor can see it. So your neighbor can look at you and say, hey, you made an accomplishment. And this coincides with the Millionaire Next Door, because at the Millionaire Next Door, they talk about people who have wealth, but they don't necessarily flaunt it. They blend in with middle class neighborhoods. And I want to tell you why. Because if you're a person that has a high self-esteem, or, that doesn't suffer from lack of confidence, you don't care what people think. You don't care about, it takes a lot of work to try to impress somebody. And I see why, people go broke these days, because they spend their life in poverty, and then once they get a little money, then they want to go out and just flaunt it. They want to show the world what they have. But that's a disease and something you need to treat. Just because you have money don't mean that you need to flaunt it. You can do things with your family. You can go to safari to Africa. You can go to do things, whatever, like this, but you don't have to spend your money on materialistic goods. That's a disease. That's not a dream. My opinion. So let's go into number 2 here. And I might not be able to make it through all of these, but bounce back from defeat. This is another thing that they say that comes with tips to build wealth and success. Did you know that Steve Jobs, big guy in Apple, was actually fired from Apple, even though he was the co-founder? They hired a CEO to come in, and him and Steve Jobs basically clash with their ideas. So the board of directors gets together and say, hey, Steve Jobs, you're out of here. So Steve Jobs, he leaves, and he creates this company. What's this company here that he creates? He creates a company called, I want to say it's Next. Next, which is a computer software. I'm sorry I don't even have this right now, but I was reading through this. But yeah, he created another company, and that company was later bought by Apple. But after he was fired from his job, you know what the guy did? The guy went out and he bought Pixar. They say that Steve Jobs was responsible for the movies like Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, Finding Nemo. And in 2006, right, Walt Disney bought that company, bought Pixar for $7.4 billion. Then later on, Apple bought his company that he created after Apple. He came in, and then later, you know, as we know it, the iPhone came in, the iPod, and different other things, whatever. And now Steve Jobs is the man. You know, but basically what I'm trying to say is that sometimes by getting fired, sometimes by, you know, losing out, you actually will come back stronger. Did you know that Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team? Cut. He was so angry, he came back the following year and became a superstar. And the rest is history. So basically, and I'm not going to go through these, whatever, you know, but basically you guys kind of see what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that wealth is something that is okay and it could take you in different directions. But wealth should never be misused. And you yourself should never give up. You should learn from your failures, because I really don't think there's a such thing as a failure. You learn from those things and keep going. You know, I was talking to Leoshu. He's the guy who speaks like, I don't know, 15, 20 different languages. And I may be wrong on that. Maybe it's more. But anyways, this guy talks about, we was talking today on Skype, and he was saying how when I was young, when I first started YouTube, he was talking about, I have all these subscribers and people now watching me, whatever. And, you know, all that happened was I just stayed persistent in what I did. I just kept going. Even though I didn't know what the future would hold, I just kept going. So I kind of introduced you to two things here. I talked about being frugal, and I also talked about never giving up. And those two things right there go hand in hand when it comes to wealth building. You know, I had the dream as a kid as a Lamborghini, but as I'm older, I don't need that kind of stuff. I'm married. I don't need, who am I trying to impress? I want to have wealth to support my family and things of this nature, but why do I need that? Maybe one of you guys can tell me why I need a Lamborghini, why I need a 15-room house when there's only 2 people. Why do I need these things? You know? So, just let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching the channel. If this is your first time, please subscribe. Tell your friends about us. And until next time, signing off.